Okay guys, so today we are starting circumference. So circumference has to deal with circles. So circumference is the distance around a circle. Essentially it's the perimeter, but only for circles. The radius is a line from the center of the circle to any point on the circle. So draw a little picture, and it goes from the center to any point. That's a radius, that's a radius, that's a radius. And then we have the diameter. So the diameter is a line that touches the edge of the circle twice, or at 2 points, and passes through the center. So the diameter, it cuts a circle in half. So draw a picture here. So it's cutting the circle in half. And then the radius, in terms of the diameter, the radius is half of the diameter. Okay, so now that you know your new terms, I want you to go ahead and label the 3 circles on your paper. So the first circle you're going to label is the circumference. So the circumference is the distance around a circle. So it's the outer edge of a circle. The diameter here goes through the center of the circle and touches 2 points of the edge of the circle. It cuts your circle in half. And then the radius is half of the diameter. So, and think the diameter is a longer word, the radius is a shorter word. So radius is half of the diameter, and it goes from the center of the circle to any point on the outer edge of the circle. Okay, so working with the diameter or the radius, there's going to be terms or times when you're given the diameter, times when you're given the radius, and you need to be able to go back and forth between the two. So like I said, the diameter cuts the circle in half, and the radius is half of the diameter. So it goes, from the center to any point on the line. So if your diameter, let me go back, sorry. If the diameter is 10, the radius is half of that. So the radius is 5. If your radius is 6, well, your diameter is twice that, right? So here I'm going to do 1/2 times 10 was 5. Here the radius is twice, or I'm sorry, the diameter is twice the radius. So 2 times 6 is 12. So like 2 times 6. Next we have a diameter of 22. So to go from the diameter to a radius, right? So the diameter cuts in half, it's 22. The radius is going from the center point to the edge. So it's only half of that. So it's 11. Here we go. We have a radius of 3.5. So the diameter is twice that. So 3.5 plus 3.5. So 3 plus 3 is 6. Half plus half is 1. So we have 7. If the diameter is 15, what is the radius? Well, if you don't know, just divide it by 2, right? It's half of it. 2 times 7 is 14, 10. So it's 0.5, 7.5. And then a radius of 4, so the diameter is twice as long as the radius, so 4 times 2 is 8. So it's really important to be able to move back and forth between the two, depending on what the problem is asking. All right, so this is where you need to go to look on your formula chart. So you see here the dark title, it says circumference. So we have two formulas for circumference. This one is C equals 2 pi r, or C equals pi times diameter. So go ahead and take a look at your formula chart and familiarize yourself. And notice here that this one's pi times diameter, so diameter, and this is 2 pi r, so 2r. So remember, like we said, the diameter is 2 times the radius. So in pi is just a math term. So essentially it's like a variable, and it's holding the place for 3.14. Pi is actually a number that goes on forever, but in 7th grade math, we use 3.14, so we stop at the hundredths place. Or sometimes you will use 22 over 7. Now the problem will tell you when you're going to use 3.14 or when you will use 22 over 7. So the only time you'll use 22 over 7 is when it tells you, and it will be when the number is a multiple of 7. Okay, so let's go ahead and estimate circumference. So when a problem says estimate circumference, so we know using your formula charts, you know that circumference is pi times diameter, or circumference is 2 times pi times radius. So, and pi is generally 3.14. Well, if it says to estimate, we're going to pretend that pi is just 3. That way we can make a quick estimate of what pi is. So if the diameter is 3, the circumference is close to what? So this problem gives us the diameter. So I'm going to go ahead and use the formula with diameter. So I'm going to put C equals pi times diameter. Every time you want to write the formula first before you substitute your your diameter or your radius. So now I'm going to rewrite it by plugging it in. So I'm saying that pi is about 3 and my diameter is 3. So my circumference is approximately 3 times 3. So we are estimating that the circumference is 9. Let's try the next one. If the diameter is 10, the circumference is close to. So again, I was given diameter, so pi times diameter. Now I want to plug in my diameter. So pi times 10. So we're going to estimate that circumference is about 3 times 10. So it's close to 30. All right, so the next problem, again, we're given the diameter. So I'm going to use the same formula, C equals pi times d. So circumference equals pi, and then I'm going to plug in my diameter, so 5. And like I said, this case we're estimating, so we're going to use 3 instead of 3.14. So 3 times 5, so the circumference is close to 15. Next problem, it says if the radius is 4, the circumference is close to what? So this situation, they gave us the radius. So we're going to go ahead and use the equation or the formula with radius in it. So C equals 2 pi r. So C equals 2 times pi times a radius of 4. So 2 times 4 is 8, and we're pretending that pi is 3. So we're estimating pi is 3. So 3 times 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 8 is 24. So the circumference is close to 24. Last one says the radius is 5. The circumference is close to what? Again, they gave us the radius. So we're going to use 2 pi r. First, I'm going to plug in my radius. So 2 times pi, radius is 5. So circumference, we're estimating pi as 3. So 3, and then 2 times 5 is 10. So 3 times 10 is 30. So this is just really simplifying the concept and making sure we understand how to use the formula before we use 3.14 as pi. Okay, so next problem, it says find the circumference of the circle to the nearest hundredth. Use 3.14 for pi. So let's just review real quick our place values. So when you have a griddable, you have your decimal point and 2 places here. So we know that this is the ones, like you have $5, $1. This is the tens, like $10, $16, the hundreds, and the thousands. Over here is the tenths and the hundredths. So this is the hundredths place that you're going to round to. So if the number over here is between 0 and 4, you're going to keep the number in the hundredths place. If it's between 5 and 9, you're going to bump it up. Okay? So let's go ahead and do this problem together. So it has a line that touches 2 points on the edge of the circle and goes through the center. So is that the diameter or the radius? The diameter, right? So since it's the diameter, I want you to go look at your formula chart and find the formula for circumference using the diameter. So it's C equals pi times diameter. So every problem you need to write the formula first. Second step, we're going to plug in our diameter. So equals pi times 8. Next, we're going to plug in what we're using for pi. So it says 3.14 in this case. So equals 3.14 times our diameter of 8. Now, that's the hard part. All you have to do now is multiply. So 3.14 times 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 1 times 8 is 8 plus 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. 3 times 8 is 24 plus 1 is 25. 2 numbers to the right of the decimal, so 2 numbers. So equals 25.12 inches. That's our answer. Circumference is that easy, guys. Let's try the next. So this one says find the circumference of the circle to the nearest hundredth. So think again about your place value. Use 3.14 for pi. So here I have a line that's going from the center of the circle to 1 point on the edge of the circle. So is that the diameter or the radius? The radius. So I'm going to look on my formula chart and use that formula. So C equals 2 pi r. So I always write my formula first, then I plug in my radius. So 2 pi times 9. And now I'm going to plug in pi. So 2 times 9 is 18. And we're using 3.14 for pi. So 3.14 times 18. All we have to do now is multiply. 4 times 8 is 32. 8 plus 3 is 11. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Put a 0 down. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Go ahead and add it up. 2 plus 0 is 2. 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. 3 plus 2 is 5. I have 2 numbers to the right of the decimal, so 2 numbers. So equals 56.52. And it's inches. And that's how you use the radius to find circumference. All right, next problem. A circular satellite dish antenna has a diameter of 20 feet. Find the circumference. Step 1, guys, always draw the picture. So diameter of 20 feet. Write your formula. We're using diameter of 20. So pi times diameter. Plug in your diameter. Then we're going to plug in 3.14. And next you just multiply. So you should have pressed pause, work it out. The answer is 62.8. And go to the next video.